Hi everyone, welcome back to N.O.A the Explorer. I am Dr. Akaranu. I am an adult, child, and adolescent psychiatrist, currently working as a locum tenens physician. I am starting my video series talking about my work as a locum tenens psychiatrist, so let's get started. Locum tenens is derived from the Latin word to hold a place, and specifically it's locum tenens facit, and that means he or she who holds a place. So that is the original term used to describe temporary replacements in absent clergy, but in today's world, it's used to describe physicians who fill temporary positions in different healthcare facilities and domains. I think the closely related profession I can relate it to is travel nursing. I think a lot more people are familiar with travel nurses, but in this case, it's physicians, and we don't necessarily have to travel. I think the word travel kind of makes it seem like you have to go somewhere, but you don't. You can still do locum tenens work in your local city or town or state. You don't have to go out of state or travel too far from home to do locum tenens work. But we can get into the nitty-gritty details further down in the series. But essentially, it's temporary staffing for hospitals who need a temporary physician. It could be for any reason. It could be that they don't have enough staff. It could be a rural area that's really hard to recruit people to. It could be that the permanent staff, maybe they started off with 1 or 2 psychiatrists and they just have so many patients that they cannot keep up with the demand. And so they decide to hire someone temporary until they can find someone permanent to fill the position. Some hospitals prefer to not hire someone permanent and just keep using locum tenens physicians, which is an interesting choice. But anyway, that's where we come in. So that is locum tenens work in a nutshell from a definition standpoint. The purpose and benefits of locum tenens work is to help provide flexible staffing solutions to healthcare facilities and ensure uninterrupted patient care during physician shortages, vacations, or leave of absences. The benefits for physicians include flexibility in choosing your assignment, diverse experiences, competitive compensation, and reduced administrative responsibilities. Usually when you are a locum tenens physician, you are not expected to attend unnecessary meetings because these hospitals are paying a lot of money for your time. They would rather you work and see patients. Trust me, I know. Than for you to sit in a whole bunch of administrative meetings, because time is money, quite literally, right? Whenever they hire a locum tenens physician, they're not going to have you sit in 2-3 hour meetings each week, paying you to just sit in a meeting. They will pay you to work, and you are there to work. And so for me, that's actually quite nice because I don't want to sit in unnecessary meetings. I want to see my patients and I want to go home. So it's a very appealing process for me. How does locum tenens compare to traditional employment? So typically you would, go through your training, which is extensively long and detailed and comprehensive, I would hope. Most residency programs are. And after you finish residency for adult psychiatry, that is, you would get, the traditional path is to get a job at an academic center. A lot of people tend to stay where they trained in academic institutions. So, if you trained at a big hospital, you take a contract and you stay there. Usually it's a 2 to 3 year contract, right? That did not sound appealing to me, to sign a 2 to 3 year contract when I'm not really sure what I wanted to do with my career. Going through medical school, I knew in medical school that the traditional career path is probably not for me. I value my time, I value my flexibility, I value my autonomy, and I've really gotten very disillusioned with a lot of institutional processes in medicine. So I just knew that maybe a traditional career is not going to be it. And in speaking with a lot of my attendings who have been wonderful mentors, I knew that I would need to do something outside of big medical institutions and maybe just be affiliated, but not be a traditional W-2 employee. So when you sign one of those long-term contracts, you are a W-2 employee. They pay you your salary, you have your base salary. Sometimes you might have an RVU incentive. That's the word I'm looking for. RVU incentive that, okay, we're going to pay you a base salary of like, I don't know. For example, they say, oh, we're going to pay you a base salary of $200,000. And then if you see more patients beyond a certain number, you get like a $50,000 bonus, something like that. You kind of have to see what your contract is, looks like and negotiate the best contract for you. But that's the typical traditional career path, right? Well, locum tenens is different from that, where you are a 1099 employee. So you're not W-2, you don't get any benefits. You are a temporary employee, independent contractor. They don't pay taxes on your behalf, so you'll be responsible for your own taxes. You pay quarterly taxes to the IRS. At the end of the year, you get 1099, so you can file taxes with that. I wanted to touch on why I chose to do locum tenens, so specifically locum tenens psychiatry. Coming out of training, I felt that my training was comprehensive, both residency and child psychiatry fellowship. However, I just didn't feel like I was exposed to different settings that psychiatrists could work in for an extended period of time. I will say my child psychiatry fellowship did a really good job of giving us little snippets of psychiatry and the different places that you find a psychiatrist. We were at the juvenile detention center and we went to the jail and we went to outpatient, inpatient, a really, really modified private inpatient experience, the ER, consultation liaison, eating recovery center. I felt that my child psychiatry fellowship training was actually very comprehensive. But a lot of these rotations are 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So you just don't have enough time to effectively say, oh, well, this is what I want to do. And I'm the type of person, I get bored very easily. I want to explore different things. I want to explore different hospitals. I want to find, the best job for me that gives me full autonomy over my schedule. That's the most important thing to me. As a trainee, I was just part of the frustrations of being a trainee is you literally have no control over your schedule. You can try, and I did try, but at the end of the day, you have to be where they say you have to be. And you don't have any autonomy. You don't have a lot of flexibility, and you just get burnt out. It's just a great recipe for burnout. And so coming out of training, I valued my autonomy and my flexibility above all else. I think I've rambled on enough for this video. Sometimes I have to catch myself because I do tend to ramble and I'll just keep talking and talking. So I'll see you in my next one and we'll continue our discussions on locum tenens psychiatry. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.